So Carter's like, okay, if we reach 100,000 subscribers, then I'm going to quit my job. And so he was telling me all about it. He was so excited and so inspired and motivated. And he's like, Liz, if we hit 1 million subscribers, like, you should quit your job and help us.
Well, I think this is how the conversation went. It's like, I told her my goal and I said, what would be your number? What would be your number to quit your job at LinkedIn, which is all the way in California. We were on the East Coast. It's like, she probably thought of the biggest number she could think of.
Yeah.
1 million.
Yeah, 1 million subscribers. And so I was like, okay, so within like the next 4 months, we hit 1 million subscribers.
In this episode, we are talking with Carter Scherer and Elizabeth Chang. Carter and Elizabeth are social media influencers who have earned 4.8 million and 3.4 million subscribers on their YouTube channels. Their video content is best known for experiments, challenges, and vlogs. Carter and Elizabeth met at Carnegie Mellon University and soon intertwined their adventurous personalities with their knowledge of engineering and statistics to create fun and innovative video content.
This is Creative Disruption, the intersection where entertainment, data, and creativity meet. Here's your hosts, Ricky Ray Butler and Derral.
Welcome back to the Creative Disruption podcast, where we talk about everything that is disrupting the industry. And I'm joined here by my friend and co-host, Ricky Ray Butler. How you doing, Ricky?
Doing great, thank you.
Hey, so
you have something on your lip.
Right here?
Yeah,
right here. Okay,
you're good.
That's what we were trying to prep before. I had this thing of lettuce right here.
Yeah, learn how to eat a salad.
Well, I usually joke with you about getting stuff in your beard, but yet I had something in my teeth for about a half an hour, and you didn't even say anything about it, which is bad. So I was actually on Twitter, because that's what I do. I go on Twitter. I don't know. Do you do Twitter?
Yeah.
Do you do the Twitter?
I do the Twitter for sure. I just don't tweet.
You don't tweet.
I'm all about the retweeting and all that stuff. But no, I mainly use Twitter like for research.
For research?
Yeah, I mean, like if I want to know what's going on or what's
happening right now. So that's kind of what
I DM a lot, but like I really don't tweet that much. I get hardly any engagement, so I'm just there to listen. I'm not there to talk.
You're the social stalker.
Yes,
that actually fits your personality quite well.
Thank you.
Thank you. No, but I was on Twitter today, and I started to see some movement in YouTube. YouTube's always been in the news, and there's a lot of things that's going on. It seems like it's always this gate or that gate or some controversy. And a couple days ago, they introduced a new feature on Studio Beta that let creators know how many people actually hit the bell notification. And so you're saying it gives you a percentage and it gives you a number. And my thing is I'm starting to see these tweets that people are freaking out. Like my phone is literally going off the hook of everyone texting me saying this is just bad. It's like a new metric now that they're probably going to go and I don't want to say commit suicide because I don't want to say that on there.
Okay.
Because that would be very bad. But they're like freaking out and they just don't know what to do. It's like this another metric like subscriber or the views that they're doing. And now they're freaking out about this. And I'm seeing these frantic tweets. Have you seen any of that?
No, I haven't. Like I've been in back-to-back meetings all day.
Okay,
but you have to probably give context of why people are texting you. Derral consults like how many creators?
Too many.
Yeah, a ton of creators.
I need to scale down.
Doesn't just consult brands, but also consults creators on building audiences, etc. And that's probably why people are messaging you.
Yeah, for sure.
Now,
for sure.
So why are they freaking out about this?
Well, because the number that they thought, so like some of these people have, 5 million, 6 million, 7 million subscribers, but yet the people that actually hit the bell notification, that means YouTube is going to actively notify them via, push notification or an email, depending on if they have all notifications on, to say, hey, we just uploaded a new video. And a couple of creators that reached out didn't even have 100,000 people that hit that bell notification on there. And
so is that YouTube's fault or is that the creator's fault?
Well, It really depends because my big belief is if you're an older OG creator on YouTube, you're going to have a higher number of people that will be through the YouTube notification via email because that was the system that was placed. Then they kind of pulled it out and says, oh, we're not really notifying anybody. In fact, we're not even going to notify your subscribers that subscribe to the channel. It might show up based on their watch history.
Is
and
it
so
the
on.
OG creators that are complaining to you right now?
100% the OG
Sure.
creators. The new ones, that's already integrated in. So channels that are a
That's
couple
tough.
years old. It is.
I mean, it seems like every 3 years there's this apocalypse on YouTube where
It's like
creators,
every day
especially
now.
creators that have been around the longest, seem to get the shaft.
They do, and it's evolving platform. But what's really, really bad, and this is where YouTube, I feel like hasn't done a very good job. They say they're trying to do it, but it's like communicating with the creators and letting them know that's going on. And so, they put this metric up. And now they're calling, people are freaking out instead of saying, hey, do you know what? We're going to put this metric up and we're going to show you 5 ways that you can really engage with your audience to really bring that number up.
But we've all known about the bell for a long time, though.
I know, but they have data and they can basically say, here's our best practices for that.
Sure. No, absolutely. Or look at what other people are doing. Like, for example, Phil DeFranco, he's an OG.
Yeah.
And he is always giving a very bold call to action. Click that ring. Click that
it's
bell.
really funny that he's even changed his call to action. He's copycatting, Jimmy Donaldson, the Mr. Beast, saying, "Oh, I'm going to punch you in the throat if you don't subscribe." I'm like, dude, where did that come from? I know where that comes from because he says, "Hey, if you say violence or you're going to delete their Fortnite account, then they'll actually subscribe." I'm like, man, it's getting pretty vicious out there for sure.
Yeah. But I think it's one of those things though that the writing was probably on the wall that something was going on with the bell, and they should have started doing tests a long time ago. I mean, they didn't have to get these metrics in order to worry about it.
Yeah, well, creators freak out. Like any new metric, they don't understand how to digest it.
Sure.
And that's why I'm really, really excited about today's guest because I've known them since they were just starting out, and I was able to see. There's different types of creators that are really super creative, and then there's creators that are data driven, and then you have a third type of creator, and I think this new type of creator are the ones that are really going to take over, which are they're super creative, but they integrate so well with data, and they make a lot of data driven decisions, and that's what we have today as our guests, which I'm really excited about.
Yes, I'm also excited about them. They have both just exploded in the last 2 years on YouTube.
Yeah.
And are showing what the future of what a creator is going to be. I feel like they're ahead of the curve. So we're very lucky to have Liz Chang and Carter Scherer here. Thank you so much for coming and joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks. I'm excited. This should be a lot of fun.
It will be fun because we're going to make it fun.
So this is my question. Based on our little rant that we had, did you guys freak out about the bell?
Honestly, I don't even know.
I was going to say, this is news to me.
Their heads down. They're working at it hard. But I do know this because I've been able to peer at some of their data from there. It's like heavy Gen Z audience is their core. And those Gen Z, they're actively seeking the content they want. Like they'll know without even hitting the bell notification that, oh, it's this day, this time, I got to tune in. And it's almost, I wouldn't say that they're programmed that way, but it's just like they are actively seeking, which in the algorithm sense, it makes everything trigger because people are actively seeking their content, and then that's when it gets suggested.
Do you guys remember when Jenna Marbles got on the platform way back when?
Oh, yeah.
I remember she had a really high, she had a very high view percentage. She got more views than she had subscribers. And a lot of that was because she was targeting an audience that was not yet ready to subscribe on YouTube. It was an older female audience, and people just literally kept coming back just to tune in, kind of like traditional TV. Yeah. And
that's where it gets nuts. But we got to introduce them. We just basically did it. We cut off and we're starting to talk again. This is kind of a very common thing.
This is so
happens.
Derral. Derral always does this with all of our guests. Yeah. So hey, can you guys just both give us kind of like a background on each of you, like what got you onto YouTube and like what inspired you to start creating so much good content?
Not just YouTube; they're on multiple platforms.
Of
too,
course,
so,
yes.
Yeah, that's a pretty good question. We kind of started out as I imagine maybe anyone would start out, not knowing much about it and kind of just posting videos. And then, because I was also at the same time trying to understand like how people do it for like a job. I didn't get it. Like I was very ignorant on all of it. Like didn't have any concept. So I remember just kind of looking up like how does YouTube work. And at the same time, I was working at the University Pennsylvania doing programming self-driving cars. So I know like algorithms, I know coding, microcontrollers, all that stuff. So I figured maybe I can manipulate it and like post videos in a way where I can just kind of game the system and get views. And so I came across some of Derral's stuff where he kind of breaks it down into like certain things to help me like understand. So he had all these videos. So I kind of just watched through all that and everything else I could find to kind of get an idea of how stuff would work.
So before you started, you actually referenced Derral's videos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hey, look at that.
I guess you do. You are good for something.
One subscriber that watched my videos. One subscriber.
Yeah, the rest of them are bots for sure. Those 500,000, they're mostly fake.
No, Carter was so excited. He would like stay up all night and tell me about it in the morning of. I'd be like, who is this person?
Well, I was so excited to find, just a great source on, how does this work? Someone kind of did the research for me. So, I just try to absorb as much of that content as I could and apply it. And pretty quickly, that plus just getting more comfortable in front of the camera and making better content kind of like goes hand in hand. We were able to see like really fast growth. And then pretty quickly, we quit our jobs, just went full time,
Like how quickly?
I actually like the story of when you got started and you're like, hey, if we can hit, was it 100,000 subscribers or
Yeah.
quit our jobs and go all in? And here she's working for LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So you're working
job.
for LinkedIn.
So so I was working for LinkedIn as a technical writer, and Carter and Steven both got started. And so Carter's like, okay, if we reach 100,000 subscribers, then I'm going to quit my job. And so he was telling me all about it. He was so excited and so inspired and motivated. And he's like, Liz, if we hit 1 million subscribers, like, you should quit your job and help us.
Well, I think this is how the conversation went. It's like I told her my goal, and I said, what would be your number? What would be your number to quit your job at LinkedIn, which is all the way in California. We were on the East Coast, and we just graduated. Like you just started your job. You're probably like 6 months in, maybe. Yeah. And I'm like, well, what would it take for you to quit your job? What's your number? She's like, oh, she probably thought of the biggest number she could think of.
Yeah.
1 million.
Yeah, 1 million subscribers. And so I was like, okay, so within like the next 4 months, we hit 1 million subscribers.
So I do need to understand this because it's like when you tell your parents, like, oh, by the way, I'm quitting LinkedIn to go make YouTube videos. How did that go over?
I mean, I remember even just getting my first like offer letter for LinkedIn and being so ecstatic because that's like my parents' dream come true.
That's a big deal.
Yeah,
it's an awesome company to work
just
for right
graduating,
now.
getting into it, like you interned there too, right?
Yeah, all of it was like so amazing. The experience, everything was so perfect, and my parents were so proud of me, and they were just like, I think after college, I was the first one who like had a job immediately after I graduated, and I'm like the third, so they're like, okay, like she did it,
Yeah.
And
now we're gonna quit.
I know, you're right. Like my mom and my dad were, I don't think they understood the concept of it much, but they, and they're super traditional, so they love, that I had a job and all of that, and I could support
401k
myself and exactly all the benefits. And to just like quit all of that to do this really, it's such a different concept for them that they didn't really understand. But I think they've known Carter for a while and they know how intelligent he is.
That crazy kid that just builds stuff in the garage.
Exactly.
You're listening to him? That's what it was.
Yeah, they were like, I think you should do what makes you happy. And I think at first they were definitely a little wary, they didn't know what it was going to be about, but I think once they started watching our videos, they became fans and they would text me ideas and try to like get involved. So yeah, it was interesting. They weren't opposed to it, but they weren't super supportive in the beginning. But yeah, it was.
Well, I mean,
it's a lot of risk.
well,
and
I mean,
Yeah.
coming from a traditional standpoint, it's like, okay, security, get a, really nice job, get a really good benefits, and work your guts out doing that, and then, retire one time and enjoy your
Yeah.
life.
Yeah, and I think
65.
it's also really interesting to point out. It's not like I was saying, Liz, I quit your job and come move into like my mansion. It was move into my parents' basement to live with my mom and dad
Yeah.
and my brother, and let's
it-
make videos in the backyard.
Yeah, and there was
amazing.
It was like so much uncertainty. It wasn't like, oh, we're gonna offer you X amount of money. It was like, no, like $0. Like we're gonna build this thing and we're gonna see
Yeah.
how far we can go with it and kind of go off of that. And yeah.
If taking a path of an entrepreneur is already a huge risk, doing an entertainment where
Yeah.
you're basically creating a TV program, that's a much higher risk.
Well, when I got
Good for
to-
you guys for doing that.
When I met them,
Yeah.
I met them at VidCon, and I just gave a presentation to come up and says, "Hey, we watch your videos." I'm like, "Thanks," because that's what most people do. And like, so tell me about your channel. He's like, "Yeah, we just started in January, and this is in June, and we just crossed 1 million subscribers." I'm like, "Oh, shut the front door." And so we sat down and had a conversation, and I found out two things. Like, both Steven and Carter are amazing people and people that just have good hearts. And I'm like, that's very rare on YouTube. It really is. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to just give a little bit of my time and see if I can steer them in the right direction. And they're probably thinking, what is this guy trying to do here? But ultimately, I was blown away at the strategy. Like, they were thinking about things that most creators don't even think about. Most creators are like, oh, I want the fame, I want the views, I want the subscribers. And like, Carter's first question was, okay, how can we scale this? Like, what's the real version of how we can scale it? So we talked about, you want to
There's
spin
people that
off
made
it.
millions of dollars that still aren't asking that question.
Yeah, and the first thing is like, okay, well, let's spin off a channel. And he goes, well, I can start my own channel. And I says, okay, you don't want to rob Peter to pay Paul. You can't just pull your viewers from here. You have to have a strategy. He's like, okay, I'm going to think about it for a little bit, and we'll have a call. And I remember the call. It wasn't even a week or two after the conference when we started to have the call. And he laid out the strategy. I'm like, huh. That's actually a really good strategy how to actually do it. And you did it, and you were able to. I think you grew that channel faster to 1 million than Steven's, right?
Yeah, every channel since the first grew faster and faster. And even the more recent channels that we just started grew to like 100K like in just a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Like super fast growth. Yeah.
So talk about that. Like, talk about the journey. Like, I think a lot of creators, they struggle with this. They're really good at creating content. They're not very strategic to say, okay, hey, wait, what if we built our own, clusters of content that can, suggest each other the content? Because you guys do have a really good job at that.
Yeah, I think it really kind of roots from like, having a group of people like Steven and I and Liz, we all started on the same channel, so we all learned how to be more comfortable in front of the camera together, kind of came up with like our voice. But then, of course, we're different people. We have different interests. Like Liz is a great example because when she was going to open her channel, it's pretty obvious that she might do things that are, more girl focused. She might be doing some more like slime stuff or maybe makeup stuff or whatever, her interests are going to be, different than mine because we're different people. So I think that's important to have the differences because you can't all be exactly the same because that's when you're going to rob Peter to pay Paul, like you're saying.
Right.
Like you don't want to basically continue making the same videos and just upload one to one channel and the other to the other and go back and forth. That's not going to work. That's when opening a new channel is actually going to kill your first one. And that's not what you want. You want to open a new channel where you get more views and it pushes more views back to the first channel. So you get like double the views, more than double the views.
Yeah.
And then for every...
Because you're going to have discovery on the new channel that's
Yeah.
going to lead people back to the
Yeah,
other.
and then
for
the
sure.
first channel can push a lot of subscribers because they already recognize that creator, and now they have their own channel. So it's fast growth, it's fast view velocity, it's just a lot that happens quick, and it has a unique twist to it, which is also very important, which can be difficult to figure out too.
So what did you do to figure out the new program? Like how did you decide what type of program you're going to do on the new channel?
So I do, thinking back, and it's been about a couple of years since I branched off to the second channel, which is my channel, coming from Steven's, and a lot of what I did on Steven, like what we did together, was a lot of my own interests. So it was tough for me to kind of figure out what my like new flavor is going to be. So I kind of had to like reach deep into like my like passions and stuff. And a lot of it was like, you know, dirt bikes, like, you know, kind of big extreme stuff like BMX stuff. So some of the first videos that I did would be like jumping a dirt bike over a car or like a backflip into the pond, you know, and those are the ones that, you know, I tried to kind of put my like a foot down where it's like, here's, you know, you recognize me. I have a similar voice. I have a similar branding, but check out
Similar parents because they're the
similar
same one.
similar parents, similar house, similar everything. And Steven's probably in a lot of my videos as well. So I gotta make it different, and it's gotta be like, whoa, like this is totally different, even though it's within like the same kind of like realm. And so I think starting there, it kind of just evolved, you know. And then as I kind of got deeper and deeper. You know, like now if you look at Steven's and Ice channels, our content is so different. You know, it's so far different, not just because we live on opposite ends of the country as far as possible, basically. But no, the content is just super different, you know, because he kind of really favored a certain style of content that's just so different than mine. And I think that's played a really strong role. You know, his channel is super successful, you know, and as is mine. And, you know, Liz has kind of similar stuff, a little bit more similar to my content, but, you know, her own twist to it.
Yeah.
How similar across the three channels are the audience? Is the audience?
I would say between Liz and I, it's probably similar, but she probably attracts the female audience more.
Okay.
So here's the true question, because I know a little bit about the data. So it's like, I think yours is a little bit older viewers than Steven's, right? You're getting a little bit older than that.
Yeah.
And then Liz makes the highest CPMs at all.
Yeah. I think
I call it. Really? I call it.
Are you featured? Are you a featured creator?
I don't.
on Google Preferred. It's hard. It's close. It's hard to tell.
Do they ever tell you?
They do sometimes.
Okay, so I don't
if you're lucky.
Okay. I might sometimes.
But you're getting much higher CPMs, so
There's some truth.
there's something there.
Yeah.
No. There's some truth to this because we were having a conversation.
Okay, here comes a conspiracy theory from Derral.
No,
Anyways,
it's not
let's hear this.
conspiracy theory.
They say
this is the truth. This is how truth happens, Ricky. Whenever I say stuff, that's the truth.
Okay. I'll
So
note that.
Carter and I were having a conversation once again, and he's like, "Hey, we're thinking about spinning off, Liz to have her own channel." I says, "Oh, that's great, whole segment." And YouTube has a lot of data on this. They're looking for female creators. Like one thing, they want diversity on the platform, and they're really wanting to feature, female creators. And then two, they're looking for other ethnicities. And I'm like, bing, 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 bing. You got it right there. You have everything that's going on. I says, the approach should be solid. She's already integrated in. You just got to have to figure out a way, once again, not to rob Peter to pay Paul. And once again, they had the plan to do it. And what I did notice more than anything else is like you did try things that didn't work. And you're like, okay, maybe we need to pivot because it was too extreme on some of that content. Could you talk about that?
Yeah,
process?
I think there's definitely kind of like if I posted a video on my channel that was completely different than what we've been posting, it's kind of like a shock to our viewers, and they don't know if they're gonna like it because they know what they like from us, and that's why they watch us. So I think the way we eased into it, we had an open mind of like, let's try all these things and build a library and kind of like cast our net wide, and that way we can learn what my audience likes, and it's going to be very similar to what Carter's audience likes because that's why he has an audience in the first place. But it was a lot of experimenting for sure. I think even for Carter's in the beginning, we experimented a lot.
Quite a bit, yeah.
And that's how you learn, and it's easier on a new channel because it's lower risk, and if you don't get the views that you want to see, it's not as bad as on like a more developed channel. So we definitely did a lot of experimenting. I tried a lot of like girlier things like makeup and all that stuff, and to be honest, I don't really wear a lot of makeup, and I was like, I need to stay true to myself, and
it's more authentic
exactly
to who you are. Yeah, for sure.
And it was, I think I kind of found my voice through just all the experimentation. I mean, I feel like we're still kind of experimenting even now.
Wow. Is there any video?
Once the creators stop reinventing themselves, that's when they die off. Like I truly do believe that. 100%.
Yeah, and
Oh yeah.
for every channel that we've created, Liz brings up a great point. Like we've always had this like crazy experimentation phase where we would just like, like Liz could be makeup one day and then riding a dirt bike the next day, or like Q&As to like just crazy different stuff. And that's kind of how we're doing the channels that we're just building up now, is they're doing like anywhere from like straight gaming to vlogs to mukbang to like, coloring shoes and who can make the best art, like just completely different stuff.
Okay, how's your mukbang videos doing?
They're actually doing pretty well.
Surprisingly,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have thought it would have been a good idea, but you let it
Ricky
learn.
was ever going to start a YouTube channel, that's what it would be, mukbang.
Oh, for sure.
For sure. Seriously.
Oh, yeah.
I would watch you eat.
I don't remember the last time I ate in the house. I do travel like 60% of the time. But was there ever a time where you guys had like this, well, Liz, you specifically, had like an aha moment, like, okay, I got to start creating more videos like this?
So Carter's just like a genius I think he's so good at everything he does. And he'll help me direct my videos, which you don't think about as a creator because you're just like, oh, let's pop up a vlog camera and film something fun. But there's actually so much more structure that's involved nowadays in when we create our content. And I think when he was kind of helping me direct one of my videos and, you see the watch time and it's super thick and you're just like, wow, this is incredible. I've never seen anything like it. That's when I was like, okay, we need to focus way more on structuring our videos so they're easily digestible. Words from Carter's mouth.
Interesting.
Let's stop right there. Did you see that nonverbal?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Easily digestible.
Carter's losing it right here.
So, context, please.
Wait. I can already tell you they've had fights on this. This is awesome. Go ahead.
Well, I think to answer your question, the aha moments are like
going back to the original question.
Don't go off this. We're not gonna let you off this.
no,
easy.
it's gonna tie it all back in. So it's not like, and we see it all the time. Like, oh, this video was like a banger. That's really good. But a lot of it, what we come to realize is like film whatever you want, but make it so your watch time is X amount, and then that's going to do really good.
Right.
And so that's kind of like what I've been really trying to push for Liz. I'll see her film and see like this lack of structure. And I want to encourage her like, okay, well, if you want to consume a 25-minute video, you got to have it like
structured and the build up for it.
Yeah, and I figured out a model that works like every time. And so if I see her kind of like doing something that's just like so disorganized or going too fast, and you're not going to fill a 25-minute video, I try to step in and help like, hey, Liz, let's redo that scene, but do it this way. It's going to be way more like easy to digest that content. And so that was what the look that she gave me there.
Yeah. Oh, wow. that was the gentle explanation. I'll bet you it was a little bit more heated. But anyway, the truth comes out. So, I find this fascinating. I really do. And I think, and I do agree, Carter is a genius at really understanding story development. I think it's his engineering background because he's like, he has an engineering path of, okay, this is what it needs to look like.
We have a background in autonomous driving. So
that was just the one job that I had for a few months before I quit, but yeah.
Were you like a data scientist?
No, I was a computer engineer and like robotics as well. So I did like microcontrollers, computer science, that kind of stuff.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. So really
So
fascinating
you applied
stuff.
all of that creation
and
to
he has
content.
his dream job is, okay, Mom, we're quitting. We're going to go do YouTube videos and we're going to live in your basement.
Nerf guns and water balloons at the time. So,
Nerf guns and water
They're
balloons.
the nicest
And
people in
fidget
the whole
spinners,
world.
yeah.
They really
Yeah.
are. Okay, so that's really fascinating. I think it's like really breaking it down, like on the pacing and the elements that are needed in the build up. One thing that I got from you, and this is like one of these aha moments for me. It's like you would always lead into the next story. Like you already knew down the road, sometimes some of the videos that you were creating and how you were promoting content that hasn't even come out yet. Could you guys discuss that a little bit?
Yeah, you want to go ahead?
no, you got
For
it.
the series? The Bond Monsters series.
Oh, I see. Okay. For developing like longer term kind of stuff.
Yeah, longer consumable
Kind of
content.
like episodes that we
Yeah,
had.
yeah. So we were kind of experimenting with huge success on that, and we haven't really got into a lot of it now. But thanks for reminding me, baby. That's the next thing we need to
Yeah.
put back in. But yeah, we came up with this idea. So we would do these videos that would always do really well, and it turns, in hindsight, it's because the watch time was really good, 60+% or something even higher, and we would just be like one take. The edit would be like literally no edits. We just go explore an abandoned town down the like 5 minutes from our house. We just kind of walk around and show it and like freak out when we see something, whatever, you know. And it was just really cool stuff. And we've done that a handful of times across all channels in different ways, and they would always just do well. It was always kind of like a last minute, you know, like pull it out of your back pocket. What do we filmed it? Oh, we can do that. And so I wanted to build off that. I wanted to do it again, but this time find an abandoned safe. I wanted to find it like deep, like under the rubble, like in the back corner underneath the stairs of one of these places. And then like see it towards the end of the video and then like freak out, not sure what to do, and kind of end the video. And then the next episode would be us going back after thinking about it, say, you know what, let's go open it, or we couldn't open it, so let's just drag it home. And so then that was episode 2, was to drag it home.
Literally becomes a character in the whole series.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, how many videos can we get out of this?
Yeah.
And so what we did is, you know,
It's creating an actual series.
yeah, no, it was. And the original idea was 3 videos, find it, bring it home, open it. So what we did in reality was find it, bring it home, try to open it, try to open it, try to open it. 20 videos later, still trying to open the thing in like crazy ways. I mean, we fell into the pond for a week. We pulled it back out. We dropped it from 60 feet a few times. We ran it over with a Hummer. We've drug it with the ATV with people riding on it. Like we did
everything. My favorite
everything.
thing about all
my
this
goodness.
is people were, you know, these viewers are giving them ideas of what to do next. And they're like, okay, tell us what to do next. You know, it's like really just kind of building up that engagement, and it would just kind of go on and on.
Yeah. And so we just went on and on for like a solid month, you know, 5 uploads a week for like over a month. And we mixed some other stuff in there, here and there, but it was primarily this trying to get the safe open. And it was just a new technique of, you know, smacking with a sledgehammer, dry ice, liquid nitrogen, like literally every popular trend you could think of. We just tried to open the thing, like, you know, super hot knife, you know, like 1,000-degree red hot knife, that kind of stuff. And then we finally, you know, got a plasma cutter, cut into the side of it, you know, get the door to fall off, and we freak out when we see the camera can't see. We freak out what's inside, you know, the video ends. The next video comes up, we call the cops. The cops realize this is a big deal. They escalate it to the FBI. The FBI comes to the house, pulls up in a cop car with the lights on, because they realize this is like a big thing they've been looking for like years. I get arrested. Video ends.
And that was staged.
No, well, it was. It was all, no.
Ricky.
We could just tell him it
about
wasn't.
reality.
Hey, wait, I thought this was an unscripted series. This is all supposed to be real.
No, I mean, it's
I haven't seen the same stuff. That's amazing.
And what was cool about that episode is, you know, we hired actors. We got a rental car that we dressed to make look like a cop car with lights. And we filmed the entire 17-minute video in one take with no edits, just because the whole thing flew all the way through.
Wow.
So super cool. So then, you know, you can see how it's just evolving from the abandoned town to now the FBI. I'm in handcuffs on top of the car, you know, and I'm in, you know, put me in the back. And then the next episode, we finally show what was in there, and it was 30 pounds of money. And that's $1 million. That's how much it weighs. And $100 notes. That's just literally 25 to 30 pounds of like old. We got like movie quality, like old money that's like from the 1980s. It was aged. It was underneath the pond for a couple days. Like, so it came spilling out, and then we had like, you know, the forensics team come and like map it out, and we had to. And so we had to figure out how to get rid of the money.
This is all at Mom and Dad's house, by the way. Just like
Oh, yeah.
And you know what's so funny actually is we have like the Ring doorbell. My parents were out of town while we were filming this, so I was home alone, just Liz and I.
Yeah.
Everyone was like at the beach or something, and you know, my dad shot me a text just like, hey, looking through the camera, I assume those cops are with you. Is everything okay? Like, let me know, you know?
But the nice thing is Dad's an attorney, could have got him out of this.
Sure.
Yeah, so
So your parents are spying on you.
yeah, so you know, they get a notification when there's movement, and so they're looking through and they see me getting arrested with FBI agents. So make sure to give me a call to make sure it was like on purpose.
So I think that the key to this, though, and I think the reason why I want to bring this up, because that's kind of when you actually started to catapult like really, really massive amount of views, you know, on multiple channels, and you're weaving story between multiple channels at that time. What I find fascinating is like the dynamic of what's actually happening. You have a really engaged audience that have to see what's next, and that tease that's there. So they're not only watching that, and they're watching the next one, and then the next one, and in their user history, like, so basically YouTube's looking at anything that they've watched and how much they consumed, you know, the frequency of it, what they didn't watch, and so on. and it's just going to recommend the heck out of any new content that's coming up. And I noticed that that's when you'd start seeing a really, really massive boost on your channels, and it all correlated together. And then how did you work it so that it was going from one channel to the next? Was it just kind of leading off the story, or was it individual storylines? How did that work?
So I think the biggest way of how it worked is we created this like basically a YouTube trend, because if you look back now, there's hundreds of like big creators that just copied the same thing. You know, everyone found a safe, and they all found something cool inside. And that was just a huge thing like 6 months ago. Everyone found it.
But they only did one video on it, and you did like 54.
Yeah, like I did like, yeah.
Well, it's kind of like, you know, I think it happens every year with film. There's always like two of the same types of storylines. Like remember like when Dante's Peak and Volcano came out.
That's right.
The same year.
That's
And
right.
it seems like that's happening, but at scale
You
on
just
YouTube.
aged yourself, by the way.
Oh, like movies,
sure.
yeah.
So aged yourself.
Yeah.
You guys don't remember that?
Nope.
I don't know.
Hey, I'm young. I'm a millennial. I'm still a millennial.
Okay, let's move on.
Well, what are you? I think you're a baby boomer, right?
Yeah, it's something like that.
So actually thinking back, it's just been a while, but I just remembered the one huge way that Liz integrated this was while I'm in the process of my like 30 videos of trying to open this thing and everyone's rooting for me, Liz comes out with a video where she steals my safe. And it was supposed to be a prank where she like, you know, hides it, but then it comes back in the video. But
how in the world could you lift this safe? I
no,
mean,
she couldn't.
I
It's a big
couldn't.
safe.
Yeah.
So
I
what,
know,
so
that's what's going through my
I
mind. I know, like
I used the ATV,
there we go.
and she's-
dragged it.
Yeah, and then what happens at the end of the video is she cuts the corner too close of the pond, so it drags and falls in, and she's not strong enough to get it out. So she just tries to hide the evidence. And then now we have a whole Carter's safe that he's trying to open for 30 videos is now lost. And then we have like a sub-series on Liz's channel of her trying to figure out how to like tell me or not or get it out. So she scoots.
Open the safe herself.
So then we had a whole scuba dive for safe in pond sub-series on her channel. And it just, you know, the videos we could just keep like, it's like one step closer to opening it and 2 steps back. Because there's like more complex, more crazy things that happening and stuff like that.
So would you decide to create another video just based on the comments and based on what the followers were saying?
Sort of. I mean, they would give us some ideas like, hey, use this tool or something. But I mean, everyone's saying like, just open it.
Yeah, when did
And
you decide just to like,
so we
okay,
didn't
stop?
open it. So you almost do the opposite of what they say. We didn't. So yeah, towards the end of
Wow.
it.
That's interesting. See, I mean, I would have assumed that you guys would have just eventually just opened it and not pissed them off.
The difference is most of the people that were opening the safe, there was not a lot of lead up. I mean, they were leading up. They'd open it, then they have that surprise and delight, and that's where it would go. The whole thing was the safe was a character in the video.
Mm-hmm.
Like it had a personality, and they were trying to get it out. And it's just the craziest thing. But if you look at it from that standpoint, it's brilliant, like 100% brilliant.
Oh, that's amazing. That's awesome.
So I think what ultimately led for me to opening it, which is ending the series, except for the season finale was like the 3 videos of the cops coming and stuff, was we were doing more and more videos. And, you know, I can always, like, the creative part of me can always come up with the next crazy thing that we could do with it. Like, I could still be trying to open that safe, you know, a year later if I wanted to be, you know. But you just kind of start to see a dip off. You know, like the views aren't as big as they were before. Maybe instead of uploading, getting like an easy 3, you're having troubles getting like 1.5. That you start to see less and less. So I figure, okay, it's time for a big
For
change.
all those people, that's 3 million views and 1.5 million, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
3
that's in
million.
the first 48 hours, 24 hours, or
Yeah,
live
the
in
first
video?
first few days.
Okay.
Yeah, I think all of them are like over 5+ now. Yeah. But yeah, so you start to see just it's slower, and so I figured that's kind of when I wanted to call. I mean, everyone's begging me just to get this thing open. Like, please, you know. Yeah. You start to see a little bit like I'm annoyed, but I can't help but still watch all your content. Like, it's still like they have to watch it. They're
They're too invested,
point,
yeah.
you're invested, and it's annoying.
Well, when you watch 20 videos, that's a little invested.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe it's this video, maybe not.
And so that's kind of what ultimately decided I want to open it. Plus, you know, I invested all that money on the fake cash inside,
Right.
which surprisingly was a lot of money for fake money.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to kind of get into it and wrap up. And at the same time, we were I think we had a little bit of an overlap with a new series I was picking up, which was the Pond Monster series, which we did the same thing.
Which everybody copied too.
Which
It's crazy.
everyone copies, yeah. And which is great. You know, I think that always just adds to the funnel, you know, just start suggesting off of each other.
It creates like a pond monster wormhole.
It's the vortex of all pond monsters every time. So what's fascinating, we can go deep dive into this for sure, but what's fascinating is they keep on spinning off channels. They don't just stop with what they have. And
So how many channels do you have?
You wait.
I'll wait.
I'm leading up to something.
Okay.
They even spin off channels that their dog has a YouTube channel.
Right, I knew that.
And it is crazy views. It's like crazy. But how do you like integrate that? Is it just like, okay, the dog's gonna have a channel, or what's going on there?
That one kind of started as like a side project because I was like, oh, my dog is so cute. I can't stop looking at her. I can't stop petting her. And I wanted to share that. And so I would film like videos like puppy's first bath and like just like these like cute little things here and there. And I didn't expect anything to happen really. I was just like, this is cute. This is cute. Let's film it. And it ended up doing really well. Like even her first videos were like, they're like really successful considering it's just a dog on camera. Like I just didn't, it kind of started out as kind of a side thing and it ended up, now it's at, 10 million monthly views, which is shocking.
For the dog. Like, do we do a video?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and the videos are super low production. Just film it, upload, kind of like real quick turnover, 2 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever.
When you're doing these stories like around the safe, I mean, how do you incorporate the other platforms? So of course, like the main storyline is on YouTube. Like how do you incorporate like Instagram or other platforms?
Yeah, the way we've been doing it, and we're still getting better. Our strong suit is 100% YouTube. Like 3 times more than any other platform. That's just like kind of like where my focus and like passion is. But the way we do it for others is we end up producing so much cool content. Even if it's just a clip from, maybe it's me sledgehammering a safe, like that's cool. Just grab that clip and put it on Instagram. That's just interesting for 10 seconds. People will watch that. You don't re-upload the full video. Now you I guess like today you literally could because you can put longer content on there.
Right.
I don't think that's going to work. I think it needs to be in a different format for which platform you do. So Instagram has a certain like way. I'm sure average watch time is closer to like 7 seconds, not 7 minutes, which you could see pretty easy on YouTube. So you got to kind of adjust your content that way. So like as we're filming, we'll try to like take Instagram pictures. Like I had one where like the money was spilling out, so I like did a selfie. Like that did really well. Like just like we have all these cool props.
You're creating anticipation around the content.
Yeah, exactly. So we just kind of double dip the content a little bit. We take pictures from the videos or clips and put that on Instagram, and we're still like learning the best way to do that kind of stuff.
Oh, cool. So how many channels do you guys now manage?
So I have mine. We have Liz's. Liz has like 3 or 4 herself.
Wow.
Go, Liz, go.
And then we just opened.
What are you doing this week? I've started a new YouTube channel.
Like every day, yeah.
Yeah, so Liz has her main channel. She has a gaming channel. She has a less active makeup channel. And then she has Millie's channel. And they're all doing pretty well. And then so I have mine. I technically have a second one that's kind of just like, it's just like a monetized channel, just kind of waiting for some purpose. And then we have 2 more that we just launched that are doing really well, growing really fast. And those are operated by different people.
Okay. And how big is your team? Do you have a production team?
Yeah. So, I mean, everyone. So for me, I'm like in charge of my channel, of like what I'm going to film, schedule. Liz is in charge of her channels. And then we have Stove and Ryan who are in the charge of their own channels, like what they want to film next. And what, we can.
But do you have any additional employees?
Yeah, we do. So we have, video editors that are dedicated to each channel.
Cool.
We have Hunter, I think he's sitting outside. He works with like, brands.
Hunter the punter.
Hunter the punter.
No, it is. Like, seriously.
He was a punter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the NFL.
NFL?
I had no clue.
For a day.
I know.
6 hours, not a day.
I'll give him a day. We could round up.
Anyone that can play at that level, that's all I got to say.
Yeah.
It's impressive. Wow. But anyway, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off. Actually, I did mean to cut you off, but go ahead.
You always cut me off. So that's interesting. So you really don't have that big of a crew, but you're pushing out a lot of content.
Yeah, I think we're uploading at least every day.
Yeah.
across the whole network.
Yeah.
And we're working on building our team for sure right now. It's just
Yeah, we
I
all take
think-
on just a lot. So yeah,
Yeah.
we're trying. That's what we're working on now. Is like our biggest next growth.
Are you exhausted yet?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
It looks like a lot of fun, and that's our goal. I hope people will say that. Like I don't want people to watch our content and be like, oh, it looks like you guys do a lot of work.
Yeah.
No, I don't want it to look that way.
So I know like my team has worked with you guys on brand deals. With these like big series, is there like an ideal way to work with a brand?
Oh, to build a series around like a brand.
Or to be a part of, like, for example, the Safe series. Like, how would you incorporate a brand to touch that series?
I think just as easily as any dedicated or shout out video. It just depends on the content, and maybe that's just my answer, which might be different, but I feel like I'm like creative where I can integrate anything into anything. I don't think that's like
You could open the safe and there could be a futuristic
yeah.
phone in the safe.
Yeah.
And it's going to blow
Exactly.
people's mind because it doesn't come out for another month.
that would be so cool.
Yeah, I mean, it just depends what the brand is. Like if we were talking about like vacuum cleaners earlier.
Probably pitch that now, Derral. Thank you.
I could have come up with a way of how to incorporate a vacuum cleaner to try to open that safe or something, or like the suction holds it from the 60-foot J lift, and I flip the power off and then it releases, or
Yeah.
right. So it could be like whatever, So you could incorporate anything. And major shout out to this vacuum cleaner because look how much suction power it has. It can hold this huge safe, or whatever. So like there's you can. I think the series gives you more opportunity where it could be more a long-term play, where the brand could be kind of like the hero that eventually gets that safe open. It was that product or something. So it could be multiple videos or something like that.
No, that's very interesting. This really is like the future of television.
I'm telling you. We've been talking about this for a while.
Yeah, and you have like V and like Chad, Chad Wildclay, doing their own stories and creating this. I mean, it's not long form. I mean, it's not long form content necessarily, but but they're like legitimate like series, like to like 30 to 50 different episodes. That's amazing.
Yeah, what's fascinating is it's like there are trends and things that are happening, but it was like, and I do credit this. Once the aha moment went and people were able to see that 40 videos, or I don't even know what it was, if it was 20 or some odd videos, was on a safe. They're going, oh my gosh, look at the watch time, look at the growth, look at everything, because people are very observant, And then it's like, okay, how do we level up? And then that's when the Pond Monster hit. Then a lot of people started to kind of weave that into their content.
So is that happening a lot now? Whenever you have a new subject, you see like 30 other like creators copying that subject.
Well,
Yeah.
but you moved away from the series though, right?
I have, yeah. And I think largely just because it was just too tough for me to keep up with the move from East Coast to West Coast. I filmed a movie, just all this stuff. And by the time I got back into it, I came up with like, another aha kind of thing. So I've been tackling that, but it's, you're always got to evolve and change. But yeah, going to answer your question, if I come up with something new, like a series, do I see people do it? It's funny you bring that up because I believe I'm probably one of the most, if not the most copied channel on YouTube. Like anytime I post a video that gets more than like 2, 3, 4 million views, within the next week, 7 people will do literally that.
Yeah.
And not just the title and thumbnail, but like specific things during the video in the same way. It's I want to like start recording it and keep track. Everyone it does
You
that.
probably should.
It's pretty remarkable. Like I'll come up with some new idea, and I'm less on YouTube now than I used to. So like my ideas are like less like, oh, I like what they did. It's just kind of me like, standing in the shower, like thinking, or just throughout my day.
Yeah.
That's not a video though, right?
No,
That wouldn't be age approved and demonetization all over the place.
or like Liz came up with this this is a great example. So Liz came up with this idea where it's going to be last to fall in the pool wins, right? Super easy title. The thumbnail, we have like a long rectangular pool, so we laid planks across it, like balance beams, and you just stand there, and the last to fall wins. Super easy, and you can imagine the thumbnail just being on a plank. Super easy to describe. The video did like really well, like 5, 6, 7 million views in the course of about a week or two. If you type in like last to fall on YouTube, you'll see like 30, like you can scroll for like pages of just everyone doing a plank or a ladder across the pool, and last to fall wins $10,000. And that's just it. Like, it's pretty crazy. Like the amount of impact And I'm kind of like impressed by it because it shows how many people are looking at us and be like, oh, what should we film? Let's go check out those big YouTubers, Carter and Liz,
Right.
which is what I used to do when I was younger.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
We always used to look up to like the bigger YouTubers. It's interesting to see that people maybe are viewing us that way.
Who are some of the bigger YouTubers that you'd follow when you're growing up?
We had a whole list. I remember looking up to like Roman Atwood.
Sure.
We'd check on like Guava Juice, like Tanner Fox was like one. Like different trampoline stuff, and just kind of like a laundry list of people that we'd kind of just shop around. And I think what would happen is you kind of follow those people. You kind of get clustered into like similar channels that are like similar demographics. You kind of just see all people.
You're making similar content, you get similar viewers, that whole thing. Yeah.
And that was,
What I find fascinating is kind of your stance on, people copying you. It's just like, because at the end of the day, it helps, whether we like it or not, just the way that things is suggestion is like 70% of all YouTube views and getting your content viewed. But what I kind of have an issue with, and this is just more, I don't know. It just bothers me is when they just blatantly, everything in the video is almost identical to what you did. Now, I understand titling and I understand the thing, but you want to make it your own. And I find a lot of content creators that don't succeed because they don't find their own voice. They're always looking, I got to copy exactly what Carter's doing or whatever. So.
Yeah. And
It's a huge compliment.
It is in a way. I'd love a shout out, like that's always welcome, but you just don't see it, even if they take their own creative spin or like the whole video minute per minute is a direct. Like we did like Last to Sync and this huge channel Morgs, he's like over like in the UK or something. Yeah. He's got like 12 million subscribers or 10, like over 10, like really big, always really big views, like Mr. Beast kind of size views. And he's copied like 6, 7 of my videos, like literally thumbnail, same angle, same positioning, same title, like literally like, and he does that. Every video he posts is like that. Right. But it's interesting because he's got big numbers, huge success. So it works. So it's like, do I get like, am I frustrated? But he's also a very successful business. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's interesting. YouTube's a different place.
Or you start like 20 new channels and you all do the same story.
Yeah, build a trend, yeah.
That does work, by the way.
There's someone here that may or may not have done that.
I had no idea what you're talking about. Well, anyway, so let's kind of transition and talk about going out in public.
All right.
this is a little different, and I think people get shocked a little bit when they realize, the type of fans that are out there. And when you guys go out to dinner or whatever, do you got people coming up to you and say, just want to do a selfie, all that other stuff, or how's that life? Is it crazy? I know at your house, people are actually going to your mom and dad's house for a lot.
Yeah,
they just show up and knock on the door. That was scary.
Yeah, and that's also, when
scary.
We had like 1.5 channels at the time, and we live like in the suburbs of Virginia. Yep. We were getting people driving out of state to come visit us Saturday morning. Yeah. At the front door, like grandparents, parents, kids, posters, like gifts, all this stuff. And the first couple of times, we answered the door, we don't know what's going on. After that, and I said we had that Ring doorbell with a little camera. If we saw as fans, we would just like, maybe my mom would go answer and be like, hey, like, this is great, but you can't be coming to our house, like on a Saturday unannounced. Like, this is like, we're people too. You can't do this. Yeah. So we try to not encourage it. But at the same time, like these kids, like they literally drove like 2 hours to get here for like, that was just like that's like the kids begging their parents day after day after day so much that the parents was like, okay, fine, let's go try it.
When the parent in the right mind would do that though? I mean,
I don't know.
I don't
I'm
know.
like, it's not going to happen. It's like, there's boundaries.
Yeah.
The world needs boundaries.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about a wall either. But
And you're all living in LA. And you're all living in LA now, correct? I mean, I think there's a lot more etiquette, like when it comes to the locals here. I might be wrong, but actually I am wrong.
You are wrong.
There's a lot of creators.
You're usually wrong.
There's a lot of
40% of the time.
There's a lot of creators that get harassed here as well. But in public places, there usually is, an understanding, an unsaid law that if you see someone that's a celebrity or that's famous, you just let them live their life and eat their food alone, and leave them alone. But that's just crazy that in Virginia, people would come out of state and like drive all the way over there.
Yeah. It's so bad, but that also
You guys ever
tells
get
you
mobbed?
but-
Like, I mean, like you get to the point where like
No.
everyone just catches on and like stops your car or anything like that.
Nothing like that. The closest I had was just like a few weeks ago. My parents came to visit, so we took them up to like the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And like once one kid recognizes and wants a picture, that's another, and then it's another. You kind of just get stuck. And I'm like just trying to enjoy an afternoon with my
This
parents.
is one of the most
Yeah,
touristy
just
areas.
standing there. Yeah.
You should
Yeah.
probably stay away from those areas.
Yeah, like once, like if I
Yeah.
were to like, I'd get recognized 10 times more if I was like vlogging.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, like I'll get Hollywood tour buses come and stop at a stop sign, and the kid's like, Carter, you know, which is like, I didn't think that was even possible, but that's been happening recently.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's coming more and more, for sure. Yeah, and
It
so
hasn't
it's something I
gotten
worry
crazy
about.
though, but
Yeah, luckily no one.
Yeah.
We've only had a couple like come to our house, and we live like in the city, right? So it's not hard to be standing outside.
and that's kind of what I talk with a lot of creators is like really protecting yourself, and it has to do with if you're buying something, put it in a trust, that way your name's not attached to it. There's or a company or whatever, because it's getting freaky out there. Like seriously, that people are very aggressive, I guess, in hounding these new creators that are out there. But yeah, very interesting, very interesting.
But most of your followers are kids, for the most part, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like upper elementary, middle school. It
And
seems to
some
be
parents,
like the most.
some parents basically
Are worse than the kids.
No. This is reality.
Yeah.
They'll watch it just because they want to make sure the content's clean for their kids.
Oh, sure.
And then the pond monster sucks them in. They get that story. No, seriously, I've had a couple people like, hey, I kind of saw you in a video of the sharers. Like, I go, what are you watching a video of the sharers? You're like 47 years old. It's like, well, my kids were watching it and they wanted to make sure it was approved. I'm like, okay, was that just one video?
So Darrell's been in your videos.
I've been like,
Is he the swamp monster?
No.
Climbs out of the pod.
No, I just been in the background and just like, who's that fat guy over there? That's what it was.
He's the creepy guy in the back.
Yeah, the creepy guy.
Yeah, but no, we've had a lot of parents like on their own come up and recognize us.
yeah.
I mean, we can be like, it's crazy. Like we haven't gotten mobbed, but we'll get recognized anywhere. Like we'll be like in Hawaii, like walking on the sidewalk.
my
Parents will come and stop us. I was out in the ocean on a surfboard, and kids swam up to me and said, "Hey, are you so and so?
Yeah.
Like, are you Carter and
Jeez.
Liz?"
It's crazy.
Like we were like, and they were local Hawaii, like
Yeah.
Hawaiian kids. We were literally out in the surf, and the sun was like, it was like dark, and they still like got us out there. Like you're never sick.
Wow.
Yeah, you're
Like,
never
I'm
safe.
literally on vacation trying not to video to like, kind of refresh myself so I can jump
Yeah.
back into it, and like they're still just even out there.
Well, that's what you get for
Yeah,
having
that's the trade-off.
hundreds of millions of views.
Yeah.
You're billions right now, aren't you?
I'm for my channel, I'm getting close to 1 billion.
Yeah. So that's what you get.
Yeah.
That's what you signed up for. Well, we were with I mentioned earlier V and Chad, and we were with them in Vegas having lunch, and we're in this restaurant where it's dark. And
It was like one of these gangster restaurants.
yeah, it's like old
the
school,
lights are
like
down, the smoke's up.
1920s
Like, who picked
restaurant.
this restaurant? It's like,
And well, they chose it, and I think it's because they wanted to go somewhere where they could not be disturbed, probably. But we're just sitting there, and like out of nowhere, towards the end, like in this dark restaurant where you really couldn't see further than like probably like 5 feet.
Yeah.
all these kids just started to line up and wanted to have pictures.
Wow.
well, not
And
just kids,
my
but,
wife,
but
yeah.
adults.
Yeah, and adults. My wife turned to me
Wow.
and she said, "I do not want that." Because I can't just
It's
imagine
a
how
lot.
stressful that is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because you're in like the public eye
Yeah.
all the time, basically. Like you can't, I can't. This is a silly example, but I can't be out like picking my boogers. Someone might catch it on camera. Like,
Whoa.
like I
Give that
can't
type of
be.
example.
It's just like I don't know. It's just
Have
like
the
a silly.
paparazzis evolved in trying and finding you guys?
Oh no.
Okay, so
No.
that's going to be in like the next
It's
5-10 years.
interesting though. It's like the paparazzi wanted to give photos for people that don't have photos, but people that are social media influencers, they're putting photos up all over the place.
Well,
so it's just there's not
that
huge
paparazzi business is going out of business.
Yeah,
and
thank goodness.
it's because for
Yeah.
sure. And And it's because content's so much more decentralized, and creators and celebrities, they can take control of what content's out there.
Yeah.
Which is
very,
great.
very
But they're
interesting.
still there. And they're looking usually for bad actors, I think.
Yeah. Why do we use the term bad actors?
Okay.
That's
I don't know.
So YouTube term.
People making mistakes.
Okay. Doing bad actors.
Doing things that they shouldn't be doing.
Okay. I don't know why that rubs me wrong. Like every
Yeah.
time it just rubs me wrong. I don't know why.
I haven't really thought about it that much.
No, I think about it all the time because that's what they use.
Has someone called
the
you a
term-
bad actor?
No. I've never been called a bad actor.
I don't know. You're getting really sensitive here.
But anytime that YouTube throws down the gauntlet, it's just like, look, bad actors, and then all these people are classified as bad actors, but yet they've been bringing YouTube a lot of money for a very long time.
Sure.
And YouTube is promoting them, and YouTube's like, okay, by the way, you're not able to have monetization or whatever. So they're classifying them.
Yeah,
And
it's tough.
I understand false positives and stuff like that, but
Sure.
I think that's where I'm a little sensitive to that.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you're always getting you're always getting text by a bunch of people saying, "Hey, I'm a bad
There is
actor."
some truth to that. There is some truth to that. Well, okay, so I think we need to kind of wrap this up, and I think it would be really, really important to know what really excites you guys, where the future's going, and what's disrupting, the industry. Is there any insight that you can give us? And we want an answer from both of you, not just one of you. What do you think it's going to be in 3 or 4 years?
Well, I think just the scale of how big YouTube has gotten and just how much it's grown even over the past 10 years, let alone the past 5 years, it's just become so much more mainstream now. And I see a lot of creators trying to get into mainstream TV and all of these things, but YouTube's just as high up there as Netflix or movies are out. We're even more integrated into our fans' lives than I think anything, because it's so personal. I think YouTube's probably going to be around for the next few years. I don't know what's going to happen.
down the
'Cause
road.
there's just so much change, and there's so many people coming with new things all the time. TikTok is one of them. I feel like TikTok has grown so much considering Instagram's been around for ever. But yeah, I think YouTube is something that really excites me. Hence why we open so many channels, and I think that's
Well, it
what
pays
we're.
you.
Yeah, that
And it
too.
pays good.
Yes.
What about you,
What
Chris?
about you, Carter? Yeah.
You mind repeating that question for me?
He's already thinking of his next video idea. Where do you think the industry's going in the next 3 years? What really excites you with in the industry? Is there anything that's oh, this is going to be the next big thing? Or
I think higher quality content is going to be kind of where the shift is going to go. I think when we first started, back when I was kind of doing my research about YouTube, it was someone made the statement that, big companies, multi-billion dollar studios are never going to have an in on YouTube, because it's all about the cheap, low quality, film on my cell phone kind of content. And I think since when we started, I think that probably seemed legit. I kind of believed that. But I've been thinking about that statement over the few years. I think since all these changes that YouTube has kind of cleaned up, they censor so much, and now it's brand friendly content is kind of king. You can't have the rowdy, inappropriate stuff. They take that out. So I think the future is going to be higher quality content. And we were talking earlier about, watch time duration being really important. So we should try to structure our videos so it's easier to digest, which is putting more production value. It's more emphasis on that. Thumbnails we've always known are very important. So, putting more investment on that. So we're just investing more and more. And what happens is our content is basically, we're growing to be higher and higher production value. And it's becoming just higher quality stuff. So I feel it's almost looking more and more, I could see the future looking more like a Netflix, where everything's super high production, studio based. I don't know if it'll go that far, but I can see how at least my content across all of our channels, we've been kind of pushing that, because that's been what's been working for us. Mm-hmm. So I think it's the quality.
yeah, I would definitely agree with that. It's just quality is going to be king regardless of what the platform is, and it needs to be intimate with the viewer. It needs to connect with them on a level, and I think that's where a lot of these companies that or studios, they were so used to saying, this is what you'll like. This is what you'll like. You need to watch what we say that you need to watch. And that's how they base their films and their television shows and so on, and come to find out people didn't like it. Well, now we have a lot of data. Now we know what people actually like. We can say, oh, do you know what? This video did good because they actually like this portion. The average view duration is decent. Your relative audience retention is there.
Which is why you guys can now spin out channels.
Exactly.
And do that at scale. And I agree. I think it's going to be high quality as well as that balance of, being intimate. And I sometimes wonder if they've made the adjustments to the algorithm like they have to incentivize, more scale and more high quality.
Well, they do have a new metric on YouTube. It's called the quality watch time score. So basically they're looking for quality views. And it's not just about watch time. So it's just like really the type of viewer that comes in and how they consume the content.
They come in and they engage
is now
with
a
it.
new metric that they are very sensitive to. And I do believe it's going to come back down to what type of quality of the content that's there. Now, that's subjective. Like what I view as high quality might be different for, different audiences, but how they're able to consume that.
Do you feel that the massive production companies out there that are currently doing stuff with TV or with film or Netflix, do you feel like any of them are going to really start adapting to YouTube?
Yeah, and I think they've already have. I don't watch a lot of TV, but in the past few months I've been kind of on Netflix and stuff, and what I've been seeing is like, Netflix used to just be, blockbuster movies. We'll just kind of rent them. And that became like an online thing. And now what they're doing is they're doing Netflix original series, which are like movies that are like relatively low budget, like The Bird Box, it's not
Which
like.
is really good, yeah.
Which is doing well. And then there's these other like micro series I've never heard of unless a friend is like recommending. And they're like, they're lower budget. So they're kind of working down to like more quantity, lower budget stuff. And YouTube, I feel like, is kind of working up from like the super low, like just selfie kind of videos to like higher production. And I feel like there's some kind of like middle here.
Well, Ellen and Jimmy Kimmel and Jimmy Fallon, they're all taking YouTube very seriously. And it's one of the reasons why, Letterman and Jay Leno, they had a hard time staying relevant because they were not adopting the new platforms. And with all the content that Kimmel and like Fallon have, that's actually something that works really well with the algorithm. They're uploading every day or sometimes multiple times a day.
Which is not good at some things and better at some things. But
Sure.
yeah. Well, anyway, thank you so much
thank you
for
coming in.
And we really do appreciate it. And thank all of you for watching this podcast. And make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification if you're on YouTube. If you're not, make sure you hit subscribe or follow with whatever social platform that you're on.
Yeah,
that's what you do.
You gotta hit the bell. Or Daryl's gonna freak out.
All right.